Okay, good morning, dear student and friend. We are back in the TY.B.Sc Zoology, Environmental Biology, paper number 4. Already in some few lectures, we have discussed about the general concept of environmental pollutions, the definitions, then the causes and the prevention. Now in syllabus 3.2 we have this for discussion pollutants, types of pollutants, and thereafter from 3.3 to 3.7 we have detailed discussions over air pollution, water pollution, land pollution and noise pollution. Now while discussing these separate different types of pollutions, we will give more emphasis on pollutant responsible for air pollutions, different pollutants responsible for water pollutions, land pollution, noise pollution. So this topic 3.2 from the syllabus with the heading pollutants and different types of pollutants, that we will cover while discussing each individual types of pollution in detail. So we now goes to the 3.3 air pollution. After discussion of all these topics, we will summarize all the pollutants responsible for general pollution, and that will be your 3.2 points from the syllabus. Okay, so we'll start with this air pollution discussion. Now, a slide in front of you contain some photographs, and that all photographs are indicating the pollutions. Particularly they are indicating air pollution. So here all vehicles are shown emitting the exhaust after burning fossil fuel. Here you will find some ships are releasing the fossil fuel exhaust. Some diesel railway use of electricity from the burning coal, the industry emitting lot of smog and lot of exhaust after burning these fossil fuels. Here, so all these photographs indicating the motor transport contributions in a air pollutions. So they contribute around 60 to 80% of chemicals they release in a air, as well as they contribute in a noise pollution in urban territories. What happen because of this air pollution and different pollutants present in air? So here, first thing, they destroy our respiratory system. Okay, that is a major health hazard, and in detail we have much more things to discuss how this air pollution affect our lungs and the skin and hairs. Later on in environmental effect, you will find there is a lot of damage to the environment. Infrastructure facility are damaged. Then here there is a change in a climate, so frequently you will find some storms. Because of some acid rain, you will find a lot of vanishing of green vegetations, and these pollutions also cause this health hazard in terms of this development of clots and other vascular related diseases, abnormalities in a human. Particles are suspended in air, so that is, and develop in a air. that is the airborne particles, or a gases released into the atmosphere, that is the air pollution. What happen normally, all some particles and some gases are naturally present in our environment, but their concentration when increases to such an extent which cause danger to our health and property and other organisms, that is air pollution. Now different types of pollutants, so this point you can relate with the your syllabus 3.2 section. Air pollutants are broken down into two categories: primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. So we'll see in detail what are these different primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. Pollutants are the substance which are contributing in creating pollutions. That is what is the pollutants. Okay. Overall, throughout the next slide, we are going to discuss this major layout. So here the causes of pollutions are emissions, that it is a release of pollutant from cars, trucks, buses, factories, power plants, etc. And the excess use of fossil fuel into the air. And there is a dust from the field construction sites and mines also contribute into the increase in suspended particle in air. Then natural disasters such as forest fire and volcano eruptions that also contribute in air pollutions. What effect that pollution cause to the us, environment and earth? So they damages vegetations, plants, harms the atmosphere, that how they deplete the ozone layer in stratosphere. Okay, that increases penetration of UV rays, sunlight UV rays on Earth, and there is a contribution into the global warming, and that leads to the climate change. Then for the humans, it initiates lot many diseases. The emission release pollutants that combine with moistures in the air to cause the acid rain. In some next lecture, you will have a separate presentations on this acid rain. So there you will see how these primary cause of fossil fuel contributing in developing acid rains, and acid rains when fall on any organisms, any monuments, any building and any structure, imagine what will happen if you are pouring acid on any substance. So that contaminates drinking water, they harm plants and animals and damages rocks and buildings. So overall, this is in short air pollution causes and effect. Now, in some of this next slide, you will see a lot of photographs. In that photographs, it will give you idea of how that pollution is increasing and what damages they are causing. So aggravated air pollution in one place only, if all the factories are accumulated, they are continuously releasing these gases in the environment. So in single area you will find lot of air pollution get aggregated, and that happens in MIDC area or industrial area develops, where that many similar industries come together and they release their effluents, poisonous gases, smoke in a environment, and that leads to the disruptions of their local climate. So here you can see how many chambers, these chimneys are releasing the smoke. Another aspect of air pollution is in city you will find there is a heavy traffic and traffic jams, and number of vehicles are more in a cities, so that transportation related causes of air pollution. As more and more vehicles start coming on a road and they accumulate, they make a jam, they increase in number at that location, you will find lot of, because of exhausted gases emissions, you will find that local area where there is a large uh, traffic is more, that local area air get very much polluted. These two, SO and NO, these are the major components of air pollution. These sulfur dioxide or sulfur oxides, nitrogen oxide, nitrous oxides, these contribute the major role in a pollution, and they come from all the sources, like from the industries, from this vehicle. But basically, if you go back, you will see the origin of this SO and NO is in a fossil fuel. So if we altogether cease use of fossil fuel, we can contribute around 80 to 90% reduction in air pollution. This in that initial side we have discussed all these points, that air pollution, because of this traffic and smoke and everything, it leads into the acid cloud formation, there is a acid rain, and there is a damage to the vegetation, then soil get become infertile because it is more acidic. Then sometime there is a dry rain, so that particles directly fall on a surface and they destroy the surface of any uh, thing, that may be a road or buildings. Then many times if this acid rain mix into the lake or water reservoirs, that the reservoir become dead, so there will be no organism growing in that water, looks very clear transparent, but it is dead. Then this also lead to the development of smog over city. Now this is not a fog, this is not a mist, this is a smog, a mixture of lot of suspended carbon particle in air. That is a smog. Air pollution is the introduction of harmful material into the Earth's atmosphere. In the air, if we introduce a lot of unwanted harmful material in excess quantity, that is a air pollution. Causes of air pollution, just to revise: a natural forest fire, lightning, volcanoes are the natural causes. Then depending on area, all these cities, then these farming activities, rural and urban activities, then industrial activities, then these transport activities, that all leads to the emission of air pollutant. Now, the growth of industry has increased air pollution in India. Number of industries are increasing in India, and likely they are using more and more fossil fuel. And so you will find pollution in India is also increasing. Whenever we start any industry in India, our focus is to make that product more economical. We want to reduce the price of that product, so we invest in more cheaper fuel, and the most cheapest fuel available is a fossil fuel, that is coal, diesel, and that leads to the increased air pollution. So our focus is more on economic, that price of a product, not on the environmental aspect. This is a very important aspect of pollution, that is a population growth. Population is high, increasing in India, and that leads to the more demand of goods, that leads to the more productions, more consumptions, and likely it's a chain. If there is a heavy populations, there will be a heavy pollution. See how this increased population will lead to the more number of cars, and more number of cars leads to the more air pollution. Indoor air pollution is an increasing problem in India. Now, this is also a major aspect. No doubt it is not there in a city, in developed cities in India, but still in all the rural area, this indoor air pollution is also a problem, though it is not contributing much into the environmental pollutions, but it is contributing highly into the health of indoor people which are living with this pollution. Here, many people use coal, fossil fuel to heat their homes, which increases air pollution. Still, many of us are using the shegdi with the coal, and we are using the furnaces to heat up our houses, and in that we are using the coals. So that also leads to the pollution. Now, this is a common picture in any rural area where the use of biomass fuel for cooking has increased indoor air pollutions. What is the biomass then? Biomass is a any biological material derived from living or recently living organism. That means animal residue, agriculture waste, sewage waste. Anyway, if you are using some biological material to form some burning material from that, it leads to the such such kind of a indoor air pollutions, because they are burning the woods, either they are burning this gauri, we say that cow dung cake. uh, that all leads, and nowadays there are many machineries developed to make a small different shape and different material biomass to use as a fuel, like they use that as a coal. Okay, so that is a one also important reason of air pollutions. Now here you can see how these peoples are affected with this indoor pollution. This cooking really kills them. They are using all that biological material, residual material to cook their food, and that leads to the lot of pollutions in their houses. Now again, we come to the air pollutions. Just to revise it, atmosphere as a resource, we are using air from the atmosphere. The types and sources of air pollutions are major classes of air pollutants, sources of outdoor air pollutants, urban air pollution. So we'll discuss that pollutants with these three aspects. Then effects of air pollution we'll see, and how this air pollution can be controlled. So atmospheres as a resource. What is natural? What is healthy? What is non-polluted? That first we will see. So here atmospheric composition, normal atmospheric composition of nitrogen is around 78%. Oxygen composition in atmosphere is around 20 to 21%, and argon gas contribution is around 1%, carbon dioxide around 0.04%. This is the normal constituents compositions of atmospheric air. Ecosystem services we get from this layer of atmosphere is what they block UV radiation coming to the earth surface. They keep climate in moderate conditions. They redistribute water in hydrological cycle. So this indirect benefit we get from the standard normal atmospheric composition of these gases.